Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Welcome, Pamela. It's looking like my screen is lagging, so if you're noticing that, let me know. Maybe I can close some windows. I will do that. See if that helps. Hi, Karen. Good afternoon. Okay, I'm going to close another window. The bandwidth seems low. So just a moment. And if you can, keep me posted on if you notice any issues on your end. Welcome, Ileana. Wonderful, Pamela. I imagine maybe you're cooking for the holiday, or maybe not. So yes, this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, we are going to be doing a powerful live session today on Thanksgiving energy and family dynamics. And it doesn't even have to be family, it could be, but just for anybody out there that has a challenge with dealing with this holiday. Even if maybe you're going with friends, doesn't matter. So we are going to be doing some ancestral clearing, which is a very powerful process, and it will be perfect for, those of you who are having family gatherings or relational gatherings tomorrow or this weekend, etc. And even if you don't celebrate the holiday, if you're from somewhere else or whatever, this can still support you in thinking about any sort of holiday dynamics that are difficult for you. And the ancestral clearing will still apply because, every culture has, celebrations, gatherings, and things like that. So, if you're new to me, please say hello. I'm Natalie, spiritual life coach, and I've been a teacher here on Insight Timer for a number of years now. And I've never done a live stream exactly like this, so I'm excited to bring this topic to you. By the end of it, you will understand why energy might feel heavy for you around this time or for this specific holiday. We're going to dive into dynamics, things you can do, as well as do the ancestral clearing towards the end of the session. So if you're new, feel free to say hello. Give an emoji in the chat of your current mood if you're joining in. And I also will draw a couple cards. So I also do tarot and oracle card readings. And yeah, we'll see how it flows, but I'm feeling to draw just some cards just to read the energy for tomorrow. Welcome, Hilly. Glad to see you. And if anybody is new, don't forget to follow me here on Insight Timer and everywhere. You can find me, check my profile. My link is in the comments, or not in the comments. In my profile, there is a link to learn more about me. And I do Reiki and ancestral clearing sessions one-on-one, and tarot as well as spiritual life coaching. Ileana, great question. will the ancestral clearing help with non-holiday dynamics around family? Yes, definitely, because it's not even about the holidays, really, you know? The thing with holidays is it brings all the dysfunction and the patterns to the surface, and they're in your face. So yeah, even if you're not engaging or you don't celebrate or whatever, or you aren't American, don't celebrate the holiday, it will still help, because I'll just speak for myself. Even today, and I live in Mexico, and you know, I haven't lived in the US for a long time, and my sister texted me and was like, everybody's here, do you want to call? And I just felt fear. I just felt total fear and total resistance, and like, hell no. No, I do not want to do that. So if you have that vibe going on, this live stream is for you. Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, that was just my reaction. That was my visceral response. That was what was in my body. So I'm doing this live stream for people like me, where the holidays are not fun and games and rosy times. And even if they are for you, you can still get benefit. So, oh, interesting, Hilly. Totally. You know, so there may be mixed emotions. There, in those of you who may not participate because you've set boundaries, even though you know that was best for you, there might still be guilt around it. Like, oh, I should want to be around them. I'm lucky that I have family at all. Or, you know, there might be certain beliefs or voices in the head that might say things like that. And it's okay to feel mixed. I feel totally fine because I've done this a long time, and I prefer my lifestyle and I prefer my family contact to be the way it is. It is most peaceful for me. And it's not that way with everybody, and that's okay, and we all have our journey. So, you know, if we think about the holiday, it's not about necessarily, it could be, you know, one example is of like, my lovely family. One member of my family is very controlling in general, and you know, me and my sisters have had different diets over the years. I became a vegetarian at 15 the first time, and so, you know, my family has dealt with for years of like who's eating what and who's not eating this, and who can have turkey and who cannot. And there would be shaming around, it wasn't okay. You know, some families might be like, oh, you're a vegetarian, I'm going to buy a tofurkey. Not my family. It's like, oh, well then you're just going to have to eat whatever you can. And so it's about, you know, the history that's in the room. It can be about logistics in the way that I described as well. You know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. There's a lot of alcohol in my family gatherings. Of course, it's been a long time. But those sorts of pressures can come up. So, you know, just to say you're not alone if you have any of this going on. And, you know, hi April, great to see you. Yeah, and if you have a wonderful family and a wonderful holiday time, wonderful. Like, yes, we need more of that in the world. And how great that you've created that and that you have that. Hi, Christian. So, you know, in family holiday dynamics, there can be triggers. There can be people that maybe you don't see except once or twice a year that trigger you. There can be certain roles. Some people, they get into this, like, I've got to prepare everything and be cooking for 8 hours, and, they get into this role and then everything has to be perfect. There could be generational things happening. Well, we've always had this, or we've always had that, or we've never had this. And of course, just all of the emotions that can come up. So I wonder, and again, just fit yourself in where you can identify, what roles there are in your family dynamics. And what roles do you identify with or see others in? The black sheep. I feel like a lot of us in Insight Timer probably would be the black sheep of the family, because a lot of us are cycle breakers and we're breaking generational and ancestral patterns. Who can relate to being a black sheep? I was also a teenage drug addict and alcoholic, so I definitely was a black sheep then. And it's changed a bit over the years, but also not. Now I live around the world and do my own thing. You might identify as the achiever, super successful, achieving. You might identify as a peacemaker, people-pleasing, making sure everybody's comfortable, making sure all the needs are met of everyone and at the table. You might be the invisible one, where you just are silent, you blend in the background, and that's where you feel safe and comfortable. You don't speak up. The peacemaker could also be the one keeping the peace, smoothing things over in difficult conversations. And then the caretaker would be the one trying to take care of everyone. I also wonder how many of you can relate to being like the empath, the highly sensitive one in the room, where you feel you absorb all of the emotional weather. So give a comment in the chat of which one or ones of those you relate to. I feel like when I get into those dynamics myself that I try to be invisible. I mean, we don't have a big family, but I don't want to make waves. I don't want to interact much. I'm just trying to make it through. And I don't want to have any sort of drama come up. Or things like that. So it's basically like a freeze and a fawn response that happens. Awesome, Hilly. 15 years, congrats. So why do these old patterns reappear? Our system remembers rules from when we were children. Your body recognizes the environment, even if the house might have changed, the people that are there are the same. So old patterns can come up. Ileana, empath but invisible. Yeah, I can relate to that. Wow, April, that's wonderful that you were the black sheep, but your family finally got on board. Yeah, I mean, the black sheep is like the cycle breaker, is the one that shakes things up. And when the family grows and when everybody grows, then that is what can happen in a positive way. So how many of you can relate to having like a visceral experience or a body-based feeling tone when you go into those environments with the family and holidays? that is also from childhood, because, you know, that's how we started out, without words. And we just were, you know, these little emotional energy beings in the room, absorbing things. And so, you know, there's tone, there's tension, there's the emotional weather. So, and if you didn't grow up in a safe environment, it's very important that you're hyper vigilant on the energy of the room to prepare yourself for any sort of threat of safety or perceived threat. Karen. Yeah, I feel like that's a really common pattern. And I mean, I'm sorry that that's happened, that pattern came about for both of you. And, you know, it served to keep us safe. So how many of you can identify with having, just feeling like some sort of pressure or expectation, like at Thanksgiving or around the family holiday table? I remember I was married, and a long-ish time ago now, but my husband remarked every time we would go visit my family, he noticed that I would totally change my personality, and then I would like pick fights with him on the way down to visit. And I never noticed it until he said it, and it was so true, because of just my resistance, the stress. I didn't want to do it. And so that pressure can happen as well. So we're just going to dive a bit more into this, and then we're going to clear it, because who else is feeling like I'm ready to clear this out? So we inherit emotional roles, you know, they just get passed down depending on our personalities and our birth order and the circumstances around, you know, the ways we grew up. And these roles of the black sheep, of the caretaker, of the invisible one, they get activated because, you know, when you go into Thanksgiving, you're going into history. There's so much history in that room if it's family. And they see us how we used to be, or how we were, not who and how we've become. And then what can happen is our bodies slip back into those old patterns out of, you know, feels familiar, comfortable but uncomfortable, comfortable, maybe protection, it feels safe. So the thing that can happen is that we then betray ourselves. How many of you have betrayed yourself in a family conversation by just being like, if somebody's saying something totally opposite of your beliefs, right? If it's politics, religion, spirituality, anything. Or how many of you you laugh at something, but it really actually hurts you inside, or you stay quiet and you don't speak up. Maybe you're yelling in your head, like, but you don't say a word out loud. Or maybe overcompensating, overhelping, or like I said, like not speaking up to keep the peace. So we're going to do clearing around all of this. Interesting, Hilly. Sounds like we've got a lot of dynamics in common, and the sobriety as well. So what would it look like to not allow all of these patterns to suck you in or to bring you down. You know, Michael Singer, my favorite spiritual teacher, he says something like, you know, you want to go into every encounter, but he was talking about family gatherings, like you want to go in and come out with the same energy that you went in with. Does that sound challenging to any of you besides me? But he gives that as an example of like a high spiritual being that is letting go and being totally present would not allow anything that anybody said or did to take their peace and break, you know, move them off center. So for those of us who are not Michael Singer, which is me, yeah, he's the goal. He's a very supernatural being like Joe Dispenza or Eckhart Tolle or any of the masters. Yeah, what can we do? What can feel accessible? Eliana feeling physically sick. Yeah, that's a really strong guidance from your body. So to not betray yourself, to do your best, to stay who you are, the best of your ability. You don't have to go in and confront everybody or try and be in everybody's face to prove how unique or better or more spiritual you are. It just means staying aware of your inner experience, being very present, being very aware, being very loving with your internal process, whatever's going on. Not shaming yourself, like not judging yourself if you do collapse, if you do get upset, if you do get in a fight, if you do storm out or somebody else storms out because of you or something. So just staying aware of your inner experience, not leaving yourself, not collapsing as best you can. And if you do, that's a place for compassion. So you are allowed to show up as you are now, not as the person anyone expects you to be. And remember too, you know, those of us who are empaths, what you're feeling isn't yours most of the time or a lot of the time. So remember that, this isn't mine. Or it could be the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle talks about, the ego and the pain body. So, yeah, I'm just pausing. Let's do some cards right now. Perfect. I was waiting for the spiritual guidance. So let's just see what advice or what messages or what energy Spirit has for us. How is everybody doing today? Give a word, give an emoji in the chat. I have had an amazing day with some wonderful people I've gotten to do life coaching sessions with. So that's been wonderful. Okay. First we've got the moon. So to me, in the context of this reading, is like, don't allow your emotions to engulf you and overwhelm you. Don't allow the old patterns to do that. Don't get lost. Don't allow yourself to drown. You know, there's a lot going on in Thanksgiving dynamic. And of course, you know, we can also bring in the generational, like ancestral thing of how Thanksgiving came to be, about the Europeans coming over into the natives' land and all of that as well. So there's a lot going on here, and there's things that you can't see in the 3 dimensions. So there's things that are hidden. There's a lot of subconscious and unconscious energies. There's lots of shadow energy here that's at play. And the thing is, like, if you're here hearing this message, you're tuned in. Others are not aware of all this, and you are. So you don't want to forget who you are. The High Priestess. Don't forget how powerful you are. Tune in to Source, God, Universe, whatever that is for you, higher power, before you go into these situations. If it's Thanksgiving, if it's whatever, for wherever you are in whatever holidays. Center and ground yourself. Really do some self-care. Remember who you are. The High Priestess is so powerful. The thing is, with all of this, we totally lose and forget who we are, and we forget our power and how powerful we are. We totally forget. We regress back to being 8 years old and scared. And that's, you know, it's not wrong. It's just the nature of it. And you've evolved enough to where you don't have to do that. Yeah, these are in a Queen of Cups. Open your heart. Be really gentle and kind to yourself first. Don't shame yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't feel guilty. Don't judge yourself as being weak or flawed or not enough or what's wrong with me or why am I so sensitive. Like, don't do any of that. Really be gentle. Ground into higher power, the universe. Open to your own heart for yourself. Give yourself loving. And just do your best to love yourself and love everyone to the best of your ability, or bless them from afar. Yeah, and look at these cards all together. They've all got very similar colors here. Beautiful energies. So we're going to go ahead and get into the ancestral clearing. I will also channel Reiki as well. So if you're here and you're hearing this, or you're hearing the replay, all my replays are on YouTube. You can follow me there, here, Facebook, Insta, website, all of that. Find out more about me. I also, do spiritual life coaching, and I work with people on all of this, family dynamics within ourselves, shifting our beliefs, shifting our perceptions, taking action to show up differently to create the results you want, empowering yourself, getting unstuck, creating the results you want in your life. So if that feels and sounds amazing to you, send me a message. If we haven't ever had a conversation before, it would be a gift, and I would take you through a really powerful process to help you get clear on where you are and where you want to go, so that you can create the results that you want in your life. And remember this, remember who you are. Remember your beautiful heart. Remember your power. And interesting, when I picked these cards back up, this one was under the next one. This is the perfect Thanksgiving petty drama card. This is a card of competition and just like pointless, like gossip or drama, like, yeah. So some of you may get to work with that energy tomorrow. All right. So I invite you to close your eyes. Just take some breaths. I'm just activating the Reiki energy and also Silvana healing energy for transformation and new beginnings. Because you are a cycle breaker, and it's not easy to be that. And when you heal yourself, you heal your family, because it ripples outward. And when we heal ourselves, we heal the world, because transformation and change does that. So just be in your body, feel in your body, allow this Reiki energy to move in, through, and around you, soothing, relaxing you. Just feel that deep peace and relaxation. And I will now do some ancestral clearing. So if you are open to receive that, just have the intention, and I will clear for all the things that I mentioned and whatever else might come up. And I will do that silently and possibly aloud. And just let this energy healing and clearing move in, through, and around you. Just allowing, surrendering. Who else can feel the energy and the healing and the clearing? Very powerful, very soothing. A lot has been released and cleared. You can remain in that space if that feels good, or if you want to come back to a wakeful state, you can. Wonderful, April. What a wonderful result. So I did a lot of clearing around all the dynamics that came up. Went very deep. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to follow me. If you care to give a donation, you can do so here through the app or other ways as well. And if you care to share in the comments what came up for you today, what was helpful, what your experience was with the energy healing. Still flowing, Ileana. Yes, I've had people have that experience quite a bit. It can be very powerful. And again, I'll offer the gifted experience with me for those who haven't had a session with me before. Follow your heart's call. If that feels, if your heart, oh my gosh, sorry. Somebody slammed the door really, really loud. Whew, glad that didn't happen during the Reiki. I would have jumped. But yeah, if you feel the heart's call to reach out for that powerful coaching process, send me a message. And I'll leave you with, something to do tomorrow or anytime in the holidays or anytime anywhere. If you're with family or people you have tons of history with, to stay grounded in your body. If you get activated, triggered, upset, just take a deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth, drop your shoulders, and repeat to yourself, is this mine? Because so many times you're going to find whatever you're feeling is not even yours. And you can use that in so many ways. And if you are at Thanksgiving tomorrow or a holiday and you need to take care of yourself, you can excuse yourself to go outside, go into another room. If you don't want to get into politics and religion and whatever, you can just say, I'm not going to discuss that. If somebody asks you to do something that you don't want to do, you could say no in the moment, or you could say, let me get back to you. So those are some simple things. So I will be live this weekend, as always, so join me Sunday morning in the Western Hemisphere for more Reiki and Ancestral clearing, as well as a more in-depth card reading for the week as we get into December. And yeah, energy of the holiday season ramping up and up. So thank you all for being here today. I'm so grateful for you, for Insight Timer. that we can all gather here. Please check my meditations in the app and join my group, Natalie's Healing Circle. And I will see you all very soon. Namaste.